Hello, everybody, and welcome back to King Operating for another Wednesday of the Oil and Gas Rundown. My name is Rachel Griffith, and I'm a Senior Vice President here. Today, I am with my amazing panel of gentlemen, starting with Jay, our CEO and our founder, who is with us. We've got Kelly Duncan, EVP of Operations, and today, Aaron Lenyard, who is our land manager. So we've got some great topics to get into today. Thank you for joining us. If this is your first time tuning in, we want to invite you to visit our website at kingoperating.com. Make sure to check us out. We've got some great things on there, ways for you to connect. So we're going to jump more into that and share a little bit more about who we are. But I want to get started, Jay. Are you there? I want to talk to you about some interesting AI news.
Hey, yeah, that's great, Rachel, and great job. Appreciate the intro there. That's really good. Yeah, and what is AI? A lot of people, what is AI? What's LNG? What is natural gas? And why do we need more natural gas now than we ever have? Well, it's all because of we are sending a lot of natural gas that we produce in the United States overseas. We're at $3 here in the United States. We're selling it overseas for 6, 7. It's going for as high as $8 or $9 per MCF over there. So therefore, it makes sense for us in the United States to liquefy that down in Corpus Christi with Cheniere and send that overseas. So our demand is increasing there. But also the AI, and that's what you asked me about, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And you saw NVIDIA comes in and says, we're going to spend $100 billion. I can't imagine spending $100 billion, but they're going to spend $100 billion on infrastructure for AI really soon. They're going to need, and what powers AI? Natural gas. So King Operating is putting themselves in a great position right now for producing more natural gas, and especially places where these AI places are being built outside Abilene, up in Amarillo. These places are being built, and our natural gas can go directly to these ports, and we can get more money for them. So we're really placing ourselves at a better position, if you will, Rachel, to take advantage of this. So it's something that we saw a long time ago. We're just following suit, and we want to be there when for our investors to get paid. So that's the most important thing right now is finding projects, close that we can drill. And you have the best guys here. Aaron's putting all the deals together. Kelly's drilling, operating them. I mean, that's what these two other guys are. But I know you wanted to talk to them about something else. But we're very fortunate.
Yeah, well, we're going to get talking to these guys in just a little bit. They've got some great things to share with us, Jay. But just going back to that, it's like OpenAI announced a major expansion of Stargate data centers. Looking like they're going to add 5 new U.S. sites. And the demand for power, the demand that it takes to power those centers is enormous. How do you see the surge in demand, translating into the increased number? I know you mentioned that, but what do you see on the forefront with bringing in these new data centers? Is that going to increase production? Is that going to increase, obviously in demand, but what else can we look for in the landscape of that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just your increase in demand. I mean, we're going to have an incredible demand in the United States and the Permian Basin, which does produce a lot of natural gas, but it's going to see that demand go and instead of a lot of gas going down to the coast to be LNG, I don't know, LNG, is that the right word? Kelly could tell me. But is LNG overseas, or do we use that natural gas here in Texas with those 5 new plants, Stargate being one of them outside Abilene, and that's where I see the demand increasing. Anytime you have demand that increases, let's the reason why oil and gas prices go up and down is because of supply and demand. It's economics, right? There's no reason why they don't go up for any other reason, even though, people may think, oh, yeah, well, Trump wants to make more money or Texas wants to make more money, so they just raise the price up and down. They don't do that. If they did that just, by nature, a lot less people would quit using it, therefore, price would fluctuate a lot more. That's not the reason why prices go up and down. It's all about supply and demand. So therefore, with this new AI plants that are being built around Texas, especially, we're going to see demand go through the roof. And when you see demand go through the roof for all of the natural gas that's going to be needed, we're going to need natural gas. We're going to supply it, and our investors will get paid. That's the best part. That's the best part of what we do is, they will get their the needs going up, demand's going up, and the prices will go up, which will be great for our partners.
Yeah. Jay, you can comment on this, or Kelly, just tell everybody a little bit out there about the difference between, obviously everybody I think can kind of envision an oil well. You drill it and oil comes out. Everybody kind of has that iconic picture of oil, springing forth. But what does natural gas look like? I mean, what is that coming out of the ground or coming out of a pipe? Or just give people maybe a basic breakdown of the difference in getting oil and gas, getting gas out versus oil.
Well, one of the biggest things is proximity, location, and ability to get your product out. So oil, obviously liquid, we put it in tanks, we haul it in truckers, we put it in a pipeline, but a pipeline is not required, right? You've seen tanker trucks going down the highway. A good chunk of those tanker trucks are hauling raw crude, especially if you're driving around Central or West Texas. Gas is very different. There's a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of planning, put it into a must-go-in pipeline, right? There's no way to get. I wish we could LNG gas on locations. We're not there yet. Someday I think it might be, but we're not there today. So the biggest difference is we have to do a lot of forethought and planning. I've actually worked some projects in deep Piney Woods, East Texas, where we're chasing oil. We found gas and we killed the project. Now the gas was amazing, high volumes, but to get a pipeline in across the very famous East Texas timberlands was going to be it was like 10 times as much as the cost to actually drill wells. So the project was deemed uneconomic at that point in time in history because the cost to get the gas out. We're blessed in West Texas to have a pretty strong infrastructure. Where Jay kind of mentioned these new AI centers are going near where gas is prevalent, because gas is a challenge to transfer. My college, A&I, actually is a forefront in the natural gas engineering school. I'm not, but their whole deal is how to transport gas close and far, and it takes effort and energy and pipelines. So if you put these data centers near the source gas, there's that much cost savings to the end user, the AI company or the power generation company, because you've cut the logistics nightmare and challenges and costs down. So that's kind of the biggest thing, one of the biggest differences between oil wells and gas wells.
Okay, interesting. That's very interesting. So it looks like it takes a lot more preparation, planning, work for natural gas. So that's very interesting. So Kelly, I want to kind of segue into fracking and just talk about operations. Since you're laying out some operations information for us with the natural gas, but what else is happening in the operations world right now for you?
We've been a little lull, King, just kind of summer problem lull, but we're just shifted in overdrive, and the next couple of weeks here going to be crazy busy. So we're finally fracking our Amarillo wells. The next couple of weeks, we're doing a technique called zipper fracking. So we've got two horizontal wells side by side, about 40 feet apart. So you can imagine about the distance of your width of your house apart from each other. And we will do concurrent operations on both wells. It's kind of a neater technology. When I started my career 25 years ago, very rarely it was one well per site, per well pad, per location. Most people have seen an image of a drilling rig or frac crew, and it usually used to be just one well. So my record is 10. I've worked on lots of 7s and 8s. We're doing a 2-well pad, and the cool part is efficiency, right? Anytime you raise the number or something, we have two big things going on here. We save money on logistics and timing, and we save money, and again, that's all goes back to our investors. We save money when it comes to zipper fracking. So on a regular frac job, Jay and I've talked about this both in different presentations before. We call it plug and perf. So we perforate a stage with wire line, come out, and frac it. So if you only have one, it's kind of two crew things. So the A crew is sitting there and idle while the B crew is doing the job. And each one of those phases costs, in traditional and my type wells, 2 hours per phase. So I'm going to have 40 phases per well or 40 stages. So that's 80 hours that you're just sitting there doing nothing. But because I have 2 wells going, while I'm doing phase A on one, I'm doing phase B on the other. So instead of fracking 3 or 4 stages a day, I'm at 7 to 10 stages a day. So our frac companies like it because they get more, they get revenue from it. We like it because there's cost savings on the cost of rental equipment and everything else. So the goal is efficiency, right? A big part of operations engineering and of operations, and then of course the driver. We all know the almighty dollar is time value money. Time is a huge calculator in that, and anytime we can cut time out or do concurrent operations, we really see a benefit in the cost savings benefit. So just from zippering alone, there are all the benefits on a 2 well pad versus 1 well pad, which Jay will know. I have a lot of estimates out there. The same project, what it costs to do 2 wells independently, and what it costs to do 2 wells together. And on a well like these, in the echelon of $10 million per well, there's probably close to $800,000 to $1.2 million per well savings by doing these concurrently. So our go forward operations on a lot of our projects, especially here in the Amarillo Basin stuff, is always to do at least a minimum of 2 wells, because we like that the benefit of logistics, timing, coordinating, cost savings of doing this. So it's a whirlwind time right now. It's a lot less sleep for me in the next 2 weeks here. You won't see me on one of these podcasts the next couple of weeks, or if you do, it'll be a snippet of me trading in my sport coat for a hard hat and safety glasses. But it's about to be a crazy couple of weeks. Good crazy, the kind of stuff I live for. So thank you, Rachel.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelly. So we're about to frack. Jay, Bivens Ranch is about to be fracked. Is there anything you wanted to add in on that? Just share with anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about here. For what is Bivens Ranch?
Yeah, well, the Bivens Ranch is a 60,000 acre ranch that is under one family, the Bivens family, and the Bivens owns several 100,000 acres. But this is one ranch that we can drill on, and our goal is to spend $100 to $200 million in equity on this ranch. Maybe bring in some debt, maybe bring in 100, 200, and then sell it for $500, $600 million. So this is what we talk about and what we are very, very good at in talking about with King Operating and talking about assets and developing assets. So this is the first 2 wells that we have on this ranch. We can drill, our geologist has said 100 or more, possibly, that we can drill. We don't want to drill that many. We want to drill, 10, 20. I mean, we want to spend $300 to $400 million and get $700-800 million off of it. That's our goal, to get that 3x multiple for our investors. And what I was listening to Kelly, what I was thinking about too was, our investors are going to, by doing these 2 wells at a time, clients will get revenue from 2 wells instead of 1. And these wells come in at 1,000, 2,000 barrels a day each, so it's going to be some really good revenue checks when it comes out, which is going to be, we frack them in October. We get October production, November production. We get December, January checks. We'll get that first check, which will be really, really good for our investors at that time. So that's, if you can think of the assets that we have one asset, the Bivens Ranch, which is what Kelly's on right now. And then Aaron's, I know, been working on our Mid-Continent asset that we have there. We have some wells up in that area, Mid-Continent, which is, up in the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma. That's going to be our other asset that we look to participate and put $200 to $300 million in equity, and then debt, and then increase the value up and sell it. And that's our model, and that's what we do, and that's why we're so different than any other high net worth retail investor that can put in $200,000 to $500,000, get the tax write-offs, get the monthly income while we scale that investment. There's nobody that does it like we do in regards to this. Now, there are institutions, there's endowments, and those kind of investors, but for the retail investor, we're the only one that, in my knowledge, does something like this.
Absolutely. So that's what we're really excited about, is that these 2 wells in Bivens Ranch are looking like they have incredible potential. And so if you want to know more about that, you want to know more about King, again, please go to the website, check us out at kingoperating.com. There's a place for you to put in your information. We can share more with you about what we do and how we're different. Of course, Jay's book, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing by Forbes Books. We would love to get this in your hands as well. You can request a copy on the website, but this explains our legacy, Jay's life, how he came to basically bring about a better way for oil and gas investing that really puts investors first and de-risks the whole investment. So we would love to put this in your hands. Jay, anything to say about the book?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wrote the book because I for the 20-something years in our first years in our business, we did business just like everybody else, which is what is not a good way for the retail investor, for somebody to put 100, 200, 300,000 in and get money. You don't really make money off that, and you may get your money back, you may not, or you don't get any money. And I got tired of that model, and so I started talking to people that are in the institutions, get institutional money or endowment, and I started talking to these people, going, "Hey, how do you structure your program?" And David Moore from NightVest, incredibly successful multifamily guy. I was talking to him and I said, what is your model? What's your strategy? And he told me, and I said, man, I know we could do it better for oil and gas investors. So we did that. And the first one we did was 130% return in 15 months for our investors, Yahoo. And we're going to do it again. And we're just making our bucket bigger. We did our buckets smaller, which is like a $5, $10, $20 million. I want to do 100, 200 million. That's at least. That's better for the investors. That's better for the public, the public companies that want to come in and purchase our assets. So I'm just extremely thrilled. Number one, that you asked me about that, because I can talk about it forever, because I'm so excited about it, because I didn't want to do the same thing that we were doing forever and what all other oil and gas companies do. That's not good. I want to do something different. And then when I did something different, I said, hey, how can I tell people about it? Because not everybody's going to ask me on a radio show or TV about it. I want to get it out there. So I wrote the book and I put it out. If there's an audio book, I'll be glad to, if you're one of the top 10 people that come in right now and go to our website and say, hey, I want the book, autograph it, I'll be glad to send you one. So that's all you have to do is go to our website and say, I want to sign one up, and I want one autographed by Jay, and send it to me. So that's all you have to do. But I'm excited about our model and what we're doing and what we're creating for King Operating, for our employees, but most importantly for the investors, to give them a fair shot at making money.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jay. We definitely put investors first here. So you guys reach out if you haven't connect with us. All right. So we've been talking about what happens with fracking and drilling, but there's a whole portion of oil and gas that happens before anything goes in the ground. So we have Aaron on with us today. Aaron, you are going to tell us a little bit more about what this famous word is that we hear sometimes when people really connect to oil and gas. That is land man. That is a very iconic term. So I want to bring you in, Aaron. I want you to say hi, tell everybody hi, introduce yourself, and I have a few questions for you.
Sure. Hey, I'm Aaron Ledger. I'm the land manager here at King. I'm just one piece of the puzzle here. It takes quite a team to drill successful wells. So I just want to tell you a little bit about it, a little bit about what goes into it before Kelly actually starts turning the bit.
Well, don't give away all our secrets, Aaron, but yeah, I
won't. I'm going to try to keep it real basic.
All right.
That's right. We don't want you, because we know that the cartel might be out there watching. We don't want them to get any of the secrets. Just a joke there, but
I don't want them coming after me. No.
That's right.
But let me tell you a little bit about, months before that drill bit starts turning. Usually it starts, at least around here, I'll tell you, it's usually Jay saying, hey, I really want to be in this area or this basin. And that kind of gets the whole team working. When I say we got geologists that get involved, they're usually the ones that really go in and look at an area and be like, okay, where do we want to go? They do their work. They study the rocks and all that good stuff. And then they say, hey, Aaron, this is the area. Go find, we need to drill here. But what that takes is, if you're at a larger company, you might have 3 or 4 different landmen that kind of take on different roles. But I've been fortunate for the last 20 years working. I enjoy this role more at smaller, independent, private companies where I get to wear a lot of hats. I get to get in there, and one of my parts of the job I always really enjoyed is going to the courthouse in the county where the wells to be drilled, and you have to determine the ownership. And what that takes is going in and starting in the deed records with the original patent on that land into the first owner, and then you start just keeping track. Every time that property has conveyed hands, you got to document it. And if you're in an area where a lot of wells were drilled back in the 1920s or in the Permian Basin, they were drilling in the 1920s. So at that point, on some of those deeds, they're already conveying an interest, but saving a portion of those minerals to themselves. So as I'm keeping track there, by the time I get to the present deed, like 2000 or 2025, I might have gone through 150, 200 documents, and I might have over 100 mineral owners. So at that point, we have to identify those, and we have to make sure that they own what they say they do. And like I said, it's hard. That means then you have to start contacting all those owners, and we have to negotiate an oil and gas lease, and that's not easy. That kind of takes a whole different skill set than the determining the ownership. You want to be fair to the owner as part of being a landman. You got to be fair to the mineral owners. But hey, I work for Jay, and I got to get the best deal I can for King. So that's one of the things. We contact the owners, we negotiate the leases, and at that point, we take everything that we have and we kind of hand it over to a title attorney. And what they do is work on the records that we prepared, and they create a division or a drilling title opinion. And at that point, usually we've also been talking to the surface owner, who lots of times isn't the mineral owner. And you got to negotiate terms with them so that we can go in there, and before Kelly gets his crew and goes and builds a pad, we got to make sure to have everything in line. And a big part of the landman's role is developing that relationship with the landowners, the mineral owners. I know Kelly has to do that on his end. He's dealing with the public and all these different contractors that are drilling the well. And so, and what we're doing is, we're the face of King at that point. We're doing our best to portray, the values that Jay wants. And so there's a lot that goes into it. But working here at King, we have a lot of support. And so, I feel like doing all the work on the front end, handing it off to Kelly so he can drill the well, that's just kind of part of the process. And now it doesn't mean that at that point that Kelly's drilling that well that the landman has to step back. We're more or less nurturing that relationship. As long as that well is producing oil or gas, we're having to work with those mineral owners. We're having to make sure that the royalty owners are getting paid. That's a whole other thing. If you have 100 mineral owners, can you imagine how difficult it can be to keep track of all the revenue coming in and making sure that it gets dispersed properly? And that's just kind of part of what we do. I mean, like I said, a landman wears so many hats. But one of the things I do like is, in the age of technology, and you talked a little bit about AI, one important feature, the landmen still have to work with the people. And, that's kind of the people skills. And that's what I really enjoy about this job, is working with the people.
Yeah, thank you for giving us that overview, Aaron. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm just going to ask if you have any kind of crazy stories, maybe a personal story of one situation where you were, I don't know, maybe it was looking through the documents or dealing with owners. Does anything come to
I tell you what, I do have a lot of crazy stories, but I'm going to tell you one. This was back in 2013. I was sent to go do some title work in the Eagleford. And so I think it was Crystal City. Kelly can probably tell me down south. Crystal City.
Yeah. That's where Popeye is.
Yeah, and so I was doing some work there, and that was really interesting. But then I had to go over to Eagle Pass and work in their courthouse at that time. And I remember just kind of, being a little nervous. I'm right there on the border. At that time, the Zeta cartels, and everybody was hearing a lot about those and how dangerous they were. And I remember working in that courthouse, which was only about a mile from the border. And I took a lunch break, and what I learned was that there had been a prison break just right on the other side of the river, and several of the Zeta cartel leaders were out. And I just remember thinking, well, I better get back in that courthouse because that's probably the safest place to be around here. But that's one of the things as a landman, we have to travel a lot, and so yeah, I have so many wild experiences. I can't say that I've had a sack put over my head and cartel leaders, making demands of me. But I'll tell you what, sometimes these surface owners can make you feel like they're the cartel. They're putting the squeeze on you and they want so many things done a certain way. And yeah, I've found myself in some interesting situations, but that's part of what I love about the landman work. It's really diverse, and even though today, like I'm sitting here working at a desk, it's just I'm very feel very fortunate that this is where I am now, and I'm not in the field every day like I used to be.
Right. So there, like you said, very different hats evolving in your job. You used to be very active in the field. Probably that's the adventure side of your job, and now a little bit more in the office doing.
Right.
So it's a little slowed down, a little calmer, huh?
Definitely.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Landman 2 on Paramount is not Landman 2, second season. The second is coming out. So one more thing, Aaron. All right. Have you watched Landman on Paramount?
Yeah, I can't say that I've watched all the episodes, and I'm going to before the second season rolls out. I did watch several of the episodes. I'm a Billy Bob Thornton fan. I think he's great. And so I think it's kind of cool that he's the one representing, he's the landman, and his son, who also in the show is seen doing land work. So I like that aspect of the show. I hear a lot of being in the industry, I hear a lot of rumblings, especially from geologists and engineers, and they're all like, I don't know, that's not really that show shouldn't be called Landman or what. But what I do like though, and you'll hear people kind of speak a little negatively about it, like, oh, I can't believe that they're portraying it this certain way. But what I do is it just brings a lot of kind of shines a light a little bit on the oil and gas industry and how hard the people work, and how capitally intensive it is to get these wells drilled. I mean, it is really difficult for a successful well to be drilled. And I like to see that people are, by watching that show, they're learning a little bit about, the oil and gas industry. And, it's a little bit like the show Dallas back in the day. I mean, it was about oil, but, people weren't really learning about the day-to-day, what's going on out in the field. And in this show, you do see them out in the field, and not even though it might not be perfectly portrayed or maybe a little dramatized. I mean, hey, that's Hollywood. That's just the way it's going to be. So exactly. I think it's great. I think it's really neat, and I kind of like the attention that the landman job is getting. I kind of enjoyed that a little bit.
Yeah, that's fun. You get to take part in the Landman Hollywood saga with your career. Right. So, Jay, I'm going to come back to you now as we're just about to kind of wrap it up. I know you did some talking points on the true and false perception of landman versus the reality in your family. I mean, you're fourth generation in oil and gas. Anything you want to weigh in on there for the second season coming up?
No, and I was just thinking about what Aaron was talking about, the surface owners and royalty owners and mineral owners. And that, I'll tell you what that means, because, a surface owner may not be the mineral owner. And what that means is like the first well we drilled for King Operating back in 1996. Yeah, 1996, we drilled our first well with King Operating. And we found a lease, and we purchased a deal from a company here in town. But when we went out to see them, it was a guy that had just bought the land to retire on up in Montague County, north of Bowie, and it was a guy that had bought the land, and he didn't buy the minerals, so he didn't own the minerals underneath. And so when I went up there to talk to him, I was just walking in, and, hey, I'm Jay Young. We're going to drill a well on your property. And he goes, whoa, who? What? And I go, well, he goes, I don't care if you drill a well or not. We don't own the minerals. They're not going to get any compensation whatsoever for drilling a well on the property. That they get nothing because they don't own the minerals, what's underneath. All they own is the surface, and he bought that to retire on. He didn't buy that for oil and gas trucks to come in and out all the time, and rigs and all these other things that go along with drilling operations. He didn't do that. He wanted to retire and just sit there and watch the creek run. I mean, that's all he wanted to do. And now we have all these. So yes, and it was a. I don't want to say a cuss word. My wife will get mad, but it was one of those shows that starts with an S. That I mean, it was like he called me at 3 a.m. Hey, I got people leaving gates open, and I got my cows, my prize cow. I mean, it was really, But you want to find a good mineral owner that owns the surface and the minerals, and they want to work with you and all that stuff. But Landman is a great show. We had some great true and false questions that we asked. Just go back on the YouTube or wherever you get it and look at that. It's an incredible show. It talks a lot about what we do. And Billy Bob Thornton, his son actually does negotiate some leases successfully. That's what Aaron did. Aaron did an incredible job. We just put one in the books about one that Aaron went out, talked to the lady, talked to her, made that relationship, successfully negotiated a good lease for King Operating and our investors, and Aaron just did that. So great job on that one, Aaron. One of many, but the one that kind of stands out on the Irving Sisters up in the Panhandle, and we hope to get a rig out there in the next 30. Well, I can ask Kelly, because Kelly's going to have to get completion on 2 wells and drilling 2 rigs drilling in November. So he's got his you think he doesn't have any hair now? Man, he's not gonna have. He's gonna have less hair here. Woo, man! Because Kelly, I tell you, there's not a more focused individual that we have in our company than Kelly Duncan. And man, when he doesn't think about anything else, I feel sorry for his wife and his kids when he's in that zone, because he is definitely zoned out, and he's definitely 100% focused. I'm sure he does give a lot of. Nobody loves his kids more than Kelly, and I'm sure he gives them a lot of love during that time. But he looks at me kind of, but then he just keeps walking, and he's like focused on what he needs to get focused on. So
that's for sure.
I appreciate it. We definitely appreciate you, Kelly. But anyway, that's kind of all I have.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, and thank you everybody who is tuning in weekly to the Oil and Gas Rundown. We appreciate you taking the time and connecting with us. You can share this. Make sure you share this with your friends. You can repost it, and then reach out to us. Connect with us on the website, kingoperating.com.
Ask some questions.
Yes, put questions. You guys have some questions. Make sure to put those below so we can answer them next time. We would love to get those questions from you guys. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
See you.
Thanks, everybody.
Next week.
Good job, Rachel.